6, welcome to another social studies lesson. So what we're going to talk about for the next week is we're going to talk about the foundations of democracy, but we're focusing on the ideas of identity and rights. Okay, identities and rights. And so this picture will start to make a little bit more sense as hopefully by next lesson. And we're going to talk about kind of what are identities, what are rights. I know you've talked about it talked about it before, and we've talked about rights a little bit before too. But now we're going to focus on it in terms of a collective and a group and how countries actually kind of preserve those rights. So here we have two definitions, right? Identity and rights. So identity is first of all how we see ourselves and how others see us. All right, so there's usually two types of identity. There is individual identity, right? So the identity of a single person, and collective identity, it's the identity of a group of people, right? Individual rights, these are rights for every single person is guaranteed. In Canada, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms ensures that everyone has rights and freedoms that preserve and protects the diversity found within our borders. So basically, right, rights are what's guaranteed to people, and in Canada, we have the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, okay? So this is a piece of legislation, right, that protects those. So if anyone tries to take them away, we say, no, we have this document. And that's actually where we're trying to get to. So first, when we're talking about the topic of identity, what we really have to start exploring is like kind of how we perceive ourselves. This is an important concept. This is really what social studies, a big part of what social studies is about, is who are you, or how do you see each other, right? How are you different? How are you the same than other people around you? And that really influences how we interact. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to work on these mind maps that express who people are. And so this first one we did is I did it for Batman, all right? And for this mind map is in the middle we have a photo of Batman, and then surrounding him are different words that explain kind of who Batman is as a person. How does he understand himself? How do others see him? So he's smart, right? He's a superhero. He's a vigilante. That means someone who takes justice into their own hands outside of the law. He's observant, so that's one of the qualities. When we make a mind map, sometimes we talk about the qualities of a person. He's very, very rich. Well, Bruce Wayne is rich, but we don't know if they're the same person, if you know. He's serious. He's a fighter, and he's part of the Justice League. Okay, so those are some words that would explain who Batman is as a group, right, collectively, and then as an individual. What groups does he belong to? What are some traits that describe him? And this is how we start finding out someone's identity. I went through and I did the exact same thing for myself. Now, I couldn't find a good, nice photo, unfortunately. But now I started thinking about, like, what are some ways that I can describe myself? Identity. Right, so things to relate to my identity is I'm Métis, right? That means I'm half First Nations, half French, Canadian, right? On my mother's side, I'm not just that. I have a whole mishmash, right? But I'm Canadian. I'm a teacher. I like to think I'm athletic. I like to think people would describe me as funny. That's why the question mark's there, right? You may disagree. Others may disagree with you too. I'm not a fighter. I forgot to change that, right? So maybe something I could change that to is not lazy, because I changed all of them except for fighter. I'm a little bit lazy. Okay, so once again, what we're doing is we're introducing the idea of what identity is, so that you can understand. You can have the point of reference from there on out. All right, and what you're going to do on your assignment is I want you to fill out your own mind map expressing who you are. So on your piece of paper, it's going to look like this. Well, first what I actually want you to do, we're going to go back in time. That was me rewinding. Okay, so first what you're going to do is you're going to do a mind map for one of these fictional characters, just like I did for Batman and myself. All right, so I want you to put in the center here, I want you to pick who you're going to pick. So you can pick anyone from these people, or you're going to pick someone yourself. Right? It doesn't really matter. The big thing is it should be someone fictional, someone you watch, someone you're familiar with. All right, so let's say I pick Harry Potter. All right, so maybe I'm going to choose words like wizard. Right? Or I mean, you know, maybe you don't have to have it all over the place. Maybe you just want to do a list so it's less confusing. Wizard. He is very rich. Right? I don't have to finish that, but I will. He's brave. because he's a Gryffindor and they're all brave. Okay, and you're gonna keep explaining as many words as you can as describing who he is, so that we have a full picture of this idea of Harry Potter. Because that's what identity is. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go down and you're going to create one based on yourself. So you can identify what you belong to. Some ideas that are what are some clubs or sports, right? What are some hobbies you do? Who are you related to, right? Are you the oldest? Are you the only child? And what kind of characteristics or traits, right? Are you funny? Are you studious? Are you very serious? Are you silly, happy? So you're just going to describe yourself. What we're going to do is we're going to take these two mind maps and we're going to compare them with the classes for Wednesday. And we're actually going to start looking at what's called collective identity. All right, so right now, you should pause this video and you should finish this up. Do the one about a fictional character and do the one on yourself. So kind of going along with that idea of collective identity. So collective identity and collective rights now. So remember, identity is how you see yourself or how people see you. Collective identity is the identity of a group of people that they share together. So something that I share with other people is that I am Canadian. We all see ourselves as Canadian, even if we're from different parts of Canada. Collective identity contributes to a sense of belonging. So then we're gonna do that next part later. But you can already do this, hopefully, is you go back in your mind map and look at things and say, what makes me think that I'm part of a bigger group than just myself? So that's the collective identity. Collective rights, these are rights that people have because they are a part of a group. All right? So these rights generally revolve around the right to maintain a distinct identity and be free from harm because of this unique identity. So what happens is, if we even go back to my own, right, I identify as Métis. That's part of who I am. But I'm also part of the Métis group. Right? Think of it as like First Nations. So because of that, because we're a unique group with unique characteristics and kind of unique beliefs too, we also have certain rights. Right? We have certain rights. We have certain rights. So these are our collective rights, and they're trying to maintain what makes us uniquely Métis. Okay? And we'll talk more about that tomorrow, next social. But now I really want you to focus on identifying who you are in your identity, and we'll expand on rights a little bit more. The last thing you have to do on that sheet is this is a case study called Nellie Carlson. She was a indigenous person, and this is a little bit about her story. And I just want you to read through this and identify in yellow anything related to identity and anything in green related to her rights. So what that would mean is you would read through this. Nellie Carlson is a respected elder, right? So elder is who she is. Elder is basically means like an older person in First Nation society. Now anything that relates to rights, who's an inspiration for the movement of Aboriginal women's rights. So that's something that relates to rights. So she is an elder and she fights for Aboriginal women's rights. Now I gave you two, you need to do something similar. Okay? So long story short, this was a lesson on identity and rights, what they are, and then we're going to expand on to collective rights next class. Let me know if you have any questions.